Hi everyone, and welcome to today's video session. My name is Thomas and I'm one of the IELTS teachers here at LangGo Learning System. These online video sessions are designed to help you improve a certain aspect of one of the 4 key competencies for your IELTS exam, in today's case, listening. Today we're looking at Test 2, Section 3 for Cambridge 10. First, we listen to the audio for the questions 21 to 24.
Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 24.
Right, well, for our presentation, shall I start with the early life of Tor Heyerdahl?
Sure. Why don't you begin with describing the type of boy he was, especially his passion for collecting things?
That's right. He had his own little museum. And I think it's unusual for children to develop their own values and not join in their parents' hobbies. I'm thinking of how Heyerdahl wouldn't go hunting with his dad, for example.
Yeah, he preferred to learn about nature by listening to his mother read to him. And quite early on, he knew he wanted to become an explorer when he grew up. That came from his camping trips he went on in Norway, I think.
No, it was climbing that he spent his time on as a young man.
Oh, right. After university, he married a classmate and together they decided to experience living on a small island to find out how harsh weather conditions shaped people's lifestyles.
As part of their preparation, before they left home, they learnt basic survival skills, like building a shelter. I guess they needed that knowledge in order to live wild in a remote location with few inhabitants, cut off by the sea, which is what they were aiming to do.
An important part of your talk should be the radical theory Heyerdahl formed from examining mysterious ancient carvings that he happened to find on the island. I think you should finish with that.
OK.
For these questions, the information is delivered so clearly that we can find out the answer after our first listen. Questions 21 to 22. Answer B, climbing, and C, collecting. Questions 23 to 24. Answers are B, to experience an isolated place, and E, to study the impact of an extreme environment. Question number 25. Let's listen carefully to what the speakers say, especially some of the keywords. Polynesian migration from the east, far away, the direction of the winds and currents, boat building, and due to.
Up until that time, of course, academics had believed that humans first migrated to the islands in Polynesia from Asia in the west.
Yes, they thought that travel from the east was impossible because of the huge empty stretch of ocean that lies between the islands and the nearest inhabited land.
Yes, but Heyerdahl spent ages studying the cloud movements, ocean currents, and wind patterns to find if it was actually possible. And another argument was that there was no tradition of large shipbuilding in the communities lying to the east of Polynesia. But Heyerdahl knew they made lots of coastal voyages in locally built canoes.
Up until that time, of course, academics had believed that humans first migrated to the islands in Polynesia from Asia in the west. Here are some keywords that help you get the correct answer. Polynesian migration from the east, humans migrating to the islands in Polynesia, or travel from the east. Far away is the huge empty stretch of ocean. The direction of the winds and currents are our ocean currents and wind patterns. Boat building and shipbuilding, due to and because of. Throughout the above discussion, Victor declared that the academics assume the migration won't come true because of the huge empty stretch of ocean. Stretch is defined as a continuous area of land or water, in this context, ocean. This means that the distance from the islands to the nearest land is quite immense. So the reason should be the distance of eastern countries. After that, the speakers also state the ocean currents and wind patterns, which means the same thing as the direction of the winds and currents. But the materials for making the ship are only considered in the later studies. That's not the main cause that makes academics mention the impossibility of migration. So our answer here must be A. Question 26. Let's listen and find out the synonyms for our keywords, which are to test and new theory.
Yes, or sailing on rafts, as was shown by the long voyage that Heyerdahl did next. It was an incredibly risky journey to undertake. Sometimes I wonder if he did that trip for private reasons, you know, to show others that he could have spectacular adventures. What do you think, Olivia?
Well, I think it was more a matter of simply trying out his idea, to see if migration from the east was possible.
Yes, that's probably it. And the poor guy suffered a bit at that time because the war forced him to stop his work for some years.
Here are the synonyms that you should have found: to test and to try out, a new theory and idea. Firstly, Victor states a private reason, which is that H did that trip to convince people that he could conduct spectacular adventures. This is another way to demonstrate his personal qualities. Nevertheless, the question requires you to find the reason which both speakers agree with, whereas Olivia shows her disagreement and proposes another reason. The main reason, according to Olivia, is just to implement his idea, which we know well is to test a new theory. And then Victor says, yes, that's probably it. The speakers also state a research setback, which is the war. However, this is an unimportant reason affecting H's research. Hence, the answer we are looking for is C. Question number 27. Before we listen, you should list some of the possible synonyms for the keywords below. The first person to do it, authentic, methods, and construction. Well, let's look at those answers.
When he got started again and planned his epic voyage, do you think it was important to him that he achieve it before anyone else did?
I haven't read anywhere that that was his motivation. The most important factor seems to have been that he used only ancient techniques and local materials to build his raft.
Yes. I wonder how fast it went.
The first person to do it, he achieves it before anyone else did. Authentic, ancient, local. Methods, techniques. Construction, build. At first, Olivia proposes a reason that H is the first person to conduct such a journey. But you have to listen to the next speaker, Victor, because he excludes Olivia's suggestion. He thinks that the most important reason is that H carries out this journey using authentic methods and materials, which the others agree with. She also asks how quickly, or she says the speed of the journey, but this is not an important factor. Our final answer is C. Question 28. You should focus on these keywords: build and stone statue.
We should mention the purpose of that trip. I think he sailed there in a boat made out of reeds.
No, that was later on in Egypt, Olivia.
Oh, yes, that's right.
But what he wanted to do was talk to the local people about their old stone carvings and then make one himself to learn more about the process.
And the synonyms we should have found there are build and make, stone statue, stone carving. We can understand that this question asks for H's purpose when he did this trip. So we have to focus and spot the word purpose to get the correct answer. Olivia mentions a reed boat, but then she states that he uses it on a later trip, so B is not the answer. He indicates that H wanted to create old stone carvings in his own right after he'd communicated with local people, so A must be the answer. We should be careful if we misunderstand that the local language was his purpose. He actually asks to make a stone statue. Question number 29. Here's what the speakers say.
Well, what a great life. Even though many of his theories have been disproven, he certainly left a lasting impression on many disciplines, didn't he? To my mind, he was the first person to establish what modern academics call practical archaeology. I mean that they try to recreate something from the past today, like he did with his raft trip. It's unfortunate that his ideas about where Polynesians originated from have been completely discredited.
Here are some keywords to help you get the correct answer. In one's opinion, to one's mind. Great influence and lasting impression. For this question, we have to focus on the information which follows the phrase "to my mind," said by Olivia, to find out what she thinks. H's theories are said to be wrong by Olivia. Then she declares that he was the first person to discover practical archaeology, not archaeology as an academic subject. Trying to recreate something from the past influenced the methods of archaeologists. Ergo, B is our answer. Question number 30. Here's what the speakers say.
I mainly used The Life and Work of Tor Heyerdahl by William Oliver. I thought the research methods he used were very sound, although I must say I found the overall tone somewhat old-fashioned. I think they need to do a new revised edition.
Here are some keywords that help you get the correct answer: methodology and research methods, style and tone, out of date and old-fashioned. Firstly, the speaker gives his opinion about the method of the research used by Olivia, and he thinks that it should be trusted. So C is not correct because it is said to be flawed, not perfect, in this option. Then he realises the overall tone which was explained, that the style in that book is quite old-fashioned, the same as out of date. There is no mention of its content, so A is the correct answer here. I really hope that you found this session helpful in preparing you for your IELTS test. If you'd like to sign up for IELTS courses here at LangGo, please click on the link below. Our courses are designed to cater to your individual needs and to provide you with personalised learning pathways. Remember to like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell button to get notifications of our latest videos. I've been Thomas at LangGo Learning System, and hopefully I'll see you for the next session. Bye.